It's a key week concerning probably one of my more obsessive topics, which is Obamacare. And I am kind of nervous about what's going to happen. I know most people are going about their daily lives. There was this a bizarre protest that happened in Mitch McConnell's office. I think it was a huge mistake of his to, you know, let it happen that they were dragged away, these disabled people. And it kind of underscores the fact that Mitch McConnell is incompetent he's an incompetent leader. And that's why I usually call him Bitch McConnell. I just forgot this time. Um, and if he does fail at this task, he should step down. He should no longer be Senate Majority Leader. He's an ineffective leader. And I'm going to touch on that today. I do want to, reinforce some of the things that are happening with Obamacare as it is. One of the things that the Democrats like to point at is, oh, you own Obamacare now. If it falls apart, it's on you. And by you, he means the Trump administration, and he means the GOP. What people should really remember is that Obamacare was built to collapse under the next administration, unless that administration either consented to massive corporate welfare in the form of bailouts to insurance companies, or, okay, pay attention, dismantling the Obamacare structure and transferring the entire healthcare system to a government-run co-op, which is the way a lot of progressives would want it to be. That's their opinion. It's not my opinion, and I never will support it. I support a healthcare system that will promote innovation and will respond to the supply and demand of the market, not one that's mandated by a bunch of laws and some people who themselves don't even work in the healthcare field. Yes, I don't care if the Nurses United are supporting not Obamacare, but a single-payer health insurance, or whatever you're going to call it, single-payer health care, government-run health care, universal health care. I don't care that these nurse unions are supporting it. My mom was a nurse. She was never in any nurse union. I don't believe that there's a nurse union that really has any power in my state. I think it's in most states like California and like Wisconsin. I think they have nurse unions. Basically, what a nurse union will end up doing is consolidating the voices of all the nurses and having them become basically putty in the hands of the price fixers, who are the people who did form Obamacare. And under single payer, it could be worse in some ways. In other ways, Obamacare is probably as bad as it gets, including the issue of controlling costs. It says here, if you look to the left, Anthem and MD-Wise to exit Indiana's Obamacare marketplace in 2018. That's from June 21st. That was 5 days ago. Anthem, Blue Cross, and Blue Shield says it is pulling out of the Affordable Care Act marketplace for 2018 and reducing the number of plans offered in Indiana counties to a single off-exchange plan. MD-Wise also elected to not participate in the health exchange starting in 2018. The companies join a list of major insurers who have already left the marketplace, including United Healthcare, Humana, and Aetna. Anthem has also left the marketplaces in Ohio and Wisconsin. This is not a surprise. They had both been indicating that they were going to do this, said Dr. Matthew Will, a finance professor at the University of Indianapolis and former insurance actuary. Now, this is, you might not think it's important because you don't care about Indiana. And Indiana is actually sort of important in the healthcare industry because Eli Lilly is located there, a massive pharmaceutical company. But, that's only part of the picture. Will says, despite the uncertainties after the announcement, one thing is clear. Hoosiers will be left with fewer options for health insurance. And the choices you're left with are not high-quality choices, because you're going to be left with insurance carriers that are offering a product that haven't been in the industry for many years, said Will. MDY said that this decision was influenced by the growing uncertainty over the future of the federally subsidized exchange. The company also said it lost $21 million in 2016 alone. Okay, this is 2016. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This article actually doesn't go into the politics of it, which is, as far as I'm concerned, I'm fine with that. Because we're talking about solving a problem. We're not talking about who to blame for it. Although if you're going to assign the blame, remember it's called Obamacare. MDY said I read that paragraph already. MDYs will focus on its larger Medicaid plans that cover 370,000 members in all 92 Indiana counties enrolled through 2 state programs, Hoosier HealthWise and the Healthy Indiana Plan. So you're looking at basically a disaster that's going on here. And actually they do go, this is the governor, he says, we've been informed that Anthem and MDY's plan to leave the Obamacare marketplace in Indiana. Hoosiers served by these providers under the federal marketplace will keep their coverage through the end of the year, and this action does not apply to those who are insured through their employers or are members of HIP 2.0, Medicaid, or Medicare. We'll know the full extent of the issues with the Obamacare marketplace tomorrow when all provider rates are published, but this is more evidence that the current federal system isn't working. Indiana is one of the many states where Obamacare is failing to provide citizens options to affordable, quality health care. This underscores the need for reform, and Indiana is poised to lead the way if given the flexibility and time to tailor the best solution. And then you got the Republican National Committee. This decision is yet another example of the devastating effects of Obamacare's failings, blah, blah, blah. Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. Today's decision by Anthem and MDYs to pull out of Indiana's individual insurance market is devastating news for Hoosiers across the states. Congressman Messer and Rokita are actively sabotaging their constituents' health care by creating uncertainty in the marketplace and supporting a toxic health care plan, decimating HIP 2.0, hailed as one of the biggest success stories. I mean, they automatically jump to the blame game. Today's announcement, this is one of the Republican representatives, today's announcement confirms that what most Hoosiers already knew. Obamacare is broken beyond repair. Now tens of thousands of Hoosiers will be left with few options on the exchange, and some counties may be left with no options at all. Despite the rhetoric of Obamacare supporters, we must act now to repeal this failed law and rescue Indiana's consumers. Then Senator Joe Donnelly, the Democrat, blames the Trump administration. Representative Andre Carson, blames the Trump administration. All they can do is point fingers, but what are they actually talking about? All they want to do is point the blame, but they don't talk about the heart of the matter. Okay, and I've shown you how many states already: Maryland, Missouri, Nebraska. I've shown you Delaware. I've shown you Ohio. I've shown you Virginia. I've shown you, I think it was, what was the last year? Colorado. All of those states, it's the same story over and over again. And these idiots, these Republicans and Democrats on both sides of the issue, will not admit what the real problem is, which is that this was a system of corporate welfare designed by Obama to get the insurance companies off his back and not to actually do, any real work. What he really should have done was to deregulate the insurance industry and basically allow people to buy health plans that have smaller requirements. There would be more options for healthy people. There's a lot of common sense things there, but he didn't do it. And this is President Obama's fault. And it will be President Trump's fault if this plan does not get replaced by something that is more free market and offers a better variety of competition for customers looking for health insurance, let's say including those with pre-existing conditions. What we're talking about is an issue where Obama did box in the GOP to some extent by promising something that it's hard to revoke the promise for, because these people with the pre-existing conditions, they will go on TV and they will state their case, and people will say, well, how can you be so cruel? Excuse me for a second. Let's see, I need some fan. It's hot as hell here. How can you be so heartless? How can you deny their pre-existing conditions? How can you? Well, the problem is that when you front load a system, an insurance system with a lot of claims, it is destined to collapse. If the insurance company is always paying out money to people who are not paying, I mean, they'll be paying into the system, but the amount that the insurance company is paying out, let's say for people with very expensive treatments, people with let's say they have a crazy back injury or whatever, and they start off this new customer by paying up a claim that he had, then the costs explode. In order to make the plan solvent, they have to charge the rest of the people on the plan that may not be filing claims, they have to charge them higher premiums in order to compensate for that. It's not a complicated thing to describe. In fact, the most simple and elementary student of the insurance market, which would probably include people like me, because I'm not a huge expert on the insurance market of any type of insurance, but it's that simple that you can understand it in 5 minutes. And yet these dickheads over on Capitol Hill will not do it, because they don't want to reveal that the only way that it's been getting across the finish line every year, barely just crawling across, is by bribing insurance companies to be a part of the market. A lot of people are on the left. I'm not talking about progressives that are for single payer. That's a different idiocy. A lot of the people on the left, the Obamacrats, are so dumb that they really believe that this is providing people health care. It doesn't. It flat out doesn't. The fact of the matter is that because the exchange has been failing, people have lost their health coverage, and it hasn't started this year. It started in years past. Now, some will argue, well, at least, what are you talking about? People lost their plans. Yes. When United Healthcare, for example, pulled out of the plans, I believe in 2015, entirely, people lost their healthcare plan. It's as simple as that. So then they would argue, well, there were other people on the exchanges or other, firms offering plans on the exchanges. Sure. And then, therefore, the front-loaded cost gets absorbed by these other companies that are on the exchange, and you see the same effect. The same effect keeps going over and over again. It's the premiums are going to go up. It's like a game I actually I read about. It was in a James Bond novel on Her Majesty's Secret Service, where Bond found these girls that were secluded in this by the villain, who was using them as allergy guinea pigs. So he taught them this game where they put a tissue over a cup of water, and they each burn a little corner of it with a cigarette, and whoever burns it so that the tissue falls in loses. Now, Obama was banking on the fact that the next president would burn the last bit of tissue off and it would fall in there, and then their presidency would fall apart, and he would be remembered as the person who did bring Obamacare. They would be the person that is remembered as the one who ruined it. Now, I don't know if he's going to succeed at that, because now the keys are in the hands of other people. They're in the hands of the GOP Senate. And that's where I'm trying to get to with Rand Paul. the GOP Senate can technically pass one of these retarded bills that they've been proposing for the past months that are obviously cobbled together because they've been ill prepared for years to actually do anything to help anybody, because that's not what their job is. The GOP Senate is full of these pompous dickwads that couldn't tie their shoes if they had a fucking stapler to hold the shoelaces down. Okay? The GOP Senate is, I mean, look, I'd agree that there's a number of people that are exceptions to the rule, like Paul and Lee, and, there's other ones that, I guess they don't stand out as much. But for the most part, you have, if it's a group of people that chose Mitch McConnell as their leader, how smart could they be? This guy looks like a fucking turkey on Thanksgiving, waddles around and acts like, I don't have to accept hearings for a judge nominated by President Obama. Well, maybe you should explain why you don't have to instead of just saying that you don't have to, because, no, I'm the Senate Majority Leader. Well, if he was the leader of the Republicans, it's very obvious now. You look at the leadership of both parties in both houses of Congress, it's pretty obvious why these people get to be the heads. They get to be the Speaker of the House or whatever it is, and they never end up becoming president because they're experts at just being in that body, doing very little, and making excuses for why nothing gets done. I don't have to, take one side to make that clear. For many years, we had Dick Gephardt. Dick Gephardt was the House Majority Leader for many years. I think he was Speaker of the House for a short while too. The guy was a mental midget, and he would get up and basically give a speech like he was at a union hall. I think the guy ran for president. People barely knew the fuck he was. It was like watching basically a car dealership owner walk into the casino and act like he's hot shit and then have to be rolled out in a wheelbarrow because he lost all of his clothes. And that was him. There was John Boehner, remember him, Republican, also a moron. Nancy Pelosi, the world record of idiocy. Paul Ryan, this squeaky clean frat boy with his weightlifting pictures, and this is a guy who claimed for years under Obama that he had an alternative plan. Gets into office, passes something that nobody liked. So, I mean, does anybody wonder why nobody has trust in Congress? If these are the people that are leading Congress, okay, forget about the Congress members themselves who aren't, they're not the most polished marbles in the sack either. Paul Ryan is a fucking moron. Mitch McConnell is a total idiot. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, they're all retards. And the only way that anything is going to happen is if Trump does, start phoning them personally and saying, listen, if you don't put something good together that people will agree on, meaning Rand Paul, then I will personally start making noise that you should be replaced as majority leader. And it's not like that's something that's guaranteed going to happen if Trump does it. But nobody supports Mitch McConnell. Nobody supports Paul Ryan. These are people whose entire support base is in Congress. They don't have a popular support base at home. Maybe they do in their home state. It's very hard for me to believe that the same people in Kentucky, and I'm saying that because I really can't believe it, but it's true. The same people in Kentucky elected Rand Paul, who's one of the more innovative politicians that we have today, and they also elected Mitch McConnell, who's the biggest bitch in the Congress now. So, in the time that we have left, I'm not trying to like make this one of the longest videos that I have. What are some of the things that I think Rand is demanding? That are integral, and the GOP should have been supporting, and I can't. They don't have a good explanation why they're not supporting. Eliminating the state lines in terms of plans, allowing states to have more control over how much they allocate for this policy. You could talk about a number of issues. Ending the corporate welfare to begin with, the subsidies. Fuck the subsidies. The whole reason that this is becoming a problem is because of the subsidies. People have this misconception that a subsidy will make a commodity or service cheaper. That is just total shit. Total shit. Not even bullshit. Just human waste. Yeah, you can see that in any product that goes out there that gets that gets subsidized. The subsidy only controls the price at the back end, but you can't control the supply, first of all, and if you are controlling the supply, then that even makes it worse. And in this case, you have the government is technically restricting the number of doctors that are on the market. Our healthcare regulation, both of the healthcare industry itself and of a lot of the healthcare devices and pharmaceuticals, is driving the costs much, much higher. Much, much, much higher. And this idea that you can just throw money at Humana or Anthem and Aetna is just complete idiocy. There's nothing that Mitch McConnell can actually say that will defend his plan. He can only come out there with total dodging and claiming that the other faction of the GOP is unrealistic. The other faction of the GOP is the one actually giving the real idea, and you are recycling somebody else's trash and calling it a new Lamborghini. You're taking old Yugo that's been through 5 car accidents and had a pregnant woman give birth in the back seat, and you're telling us that it is a new Lexus. That's what Mitch McConnell is doing. And that's why Rand Paul, I could, go more in depth on it. I'd have to do a little more reading to articulate it. But that's basically what I'm saying. The end subsidies. Is that hard to understand? End subsidies for insurance companies. Open up the market across state lines. Is that so hard to understand? These Senate people, they don't have a real excuse. All they can do is complain that some people are just purists or whatever. Yeah, we want pure choice and pure competition. We don't want you telling other people what to do, federal government, and basically ruining everything just like always. So anyway, this is Ramon, Bold Like a Leopard, ACA Today, again. Very important. I know that I'm not doing it as frequently as maybe you would expect if you've been watching my channel, but it's important that we talk about it at least somewhat. The Affordable Care Act. I don't care if it's on its last legs or if it's going to be going on for, the next few months. The Affordable Care Act will remain, at least for the foreseeable future, the worst piece of domestic legislation passed in American history. The biggest lie sold to the American people in the form of a real life changer. Yeah, it's changed your lives. It's also changed your bank accounts. So until next time, it's Ramon, Bold Like a Leopard. And remember, Bitch McConnell will bring you no change. We need like a real leader. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's going to be Paul. I don't know if it's going to be Cruz. But I know that Bitch McConnell can't be the leader of that party, and that the party itself is proven to be just a basket of failures, like always.